one I respect, but we must still stand as part of a Europe. The claim of right underpins not a set type of governance. It is a reality that the form of governance should be influenced by, borrowed from, elevate and create the opportunities of the citizens that sign up to it. And as JP McIntosh said, and it stands in testament to the fluid ideas that underpin the demands of a citizen, it is not beyond the wit of man to devise institutions to meet those demands. I'm grateful, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Joanna Cherry.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Earlier on in this debate, I intervened on the Secretary of State for Scotland to ask him whether he supported the principle of self-determination in Article 1 of the Charter of the United Nations, and I was very pleased that he said that he did. And for those who need reminding, what Article 1 says is that all peoples have the right to self-determination, and by virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development. Now, of course, the reason why we've brought this motion today is because of what has occurred since the people of Scotland last voted in relation to their self-determination in 2014, the Brexit vote. Because, of course, the implications of Brexit for Scotland's economic, social and cultural development are enormous. And that's why we wish to reassert today the right of the Scottish people to self-determination. But it's been very pleasing, Madam Deputy Speaker, that there have been a number of very significant concessions from other parties during the course of this debate. The Honourable Member for Murray has said that he accepts the sovereignty of the Scottish people. I'm sure that may come as a surprise to some of his colleagues who aren't here this evening from English constituencies who so often tell us that it is this Parliament and this Parliament alone that is sovereign. But he's made that concession. I'll take an intervention in a moment. So that's one concession from the benches opposite. The Honourable Member from Stirling has said that he will vote for this motion tonight, and I was delighted to hear that as well, and I'm very much hoping that all of his colleagues will go through the lobbies to vote for the motion, because again I say the support for this principle will become very important when the First Minister of Scotland once again approaches the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom looking for a Section 30 order. Because of course the Honourable Member for Kirkcaldy and Cowdenbeath, who speaks for the official opposition, also made a very important concession. If I heard her correctly, I think she said that if there was a mandate for another independence referendum in Scotland, she would support that. Well, that's very good. That's music to my ears, Madam Deputy Speaker, because there is a mandate already for another independence in Scotland. It comes from the democratically elected Scottish Parliament, which, in the light of the Brexit vote, voted to give, with the SNP and the Greens together, voted to give the First Minister of Scotland a mandate to request from... let me finish my point, please. A mandate to request from this government a Section 30 order in order to hold another independence referendum. So if members opposite and members on the Labour opposition benches haven't twigged already, then let me spell it out for them. That is what this motion is about tonight. It is about protecting the right of the Scottish people to take necessary steps to protect themselves from the consequences of Brexit. Because you see, Madam Deputy Speaker, unlike the people's vote, the vote for a second independence referendum in Scotland already has a mandate. That's a distinction which the honourable gentleman for Edinburgh South and the Lib Dems who are no longer in their place do not seem to understand. Now, before I go any further, I want to take the opportunity to defend my right honourable friend and our group leader, the right honourable member for Ross Skye and Loch Aber. Because, Madam Deputy Speaker, there has been a concerted attempt by the benches opposite this evening to attempt to assassinate his character by putting into the Hansard record allegations about him which cannot be upheld. I note, Madam Deputy Speaker, that neither you nor anyone else in the chair this evening has ruled his conduct disorderly. In speaking up passionately for the viewpoint of the Scottish National Party, he is simply exercising his mandate and doing his job. And in so doing, he has our support, the support of his constituents and the support of the Scottish National Party. Now, I'll take some intervention.
I'm grateful to the Honourable Lady for giving way. She mentioned what those of us on this side had said and had put into Hansard. Will she accept that what I said about the Right Honourable Gentleman was he made it all far too personal? He was playing the man rather than the ball. Yes. And if they really want to have a constitutional debate where they want to engage people from all sides, they have to stop these petty attacks on individuals.
Yes. I did hear the Honourable Gentleman for Murray say that, but I don't accept that he was right. And can I suggest that he gets a mirror and looks in it more often? Because it is he and his colleagues from Scotland who have been playing the man and not the ball. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, what this debate is really about, and the debate around Brexit and Scottish independence, is really about what it means to be an independent nation in the modern world. And people often ask why the Scottish National Party want to leave the United Kingdom but stay in the European Union. And the answer is very simple. And you don't have to look very far to see an example of what it is to be a partner in the European Union as opposed to what it is to be a member nation in the UK. Just look across the Irish Sea to Ireland and see the treatment that the Republic of Ireland has received from the European Union, where its economic and social considerations are put at the heart of the negotiations by the EU27. Contrast that with the economic and social concerns of Scotland and indeed Northern Ireland, who voted to remain, but whose concerns are utterly sidelined, and in Scotland's case were given a total of 19 minutes for debating and accompanied by much sneering and condescension from the opposite benches when SNP MPs dared to protest. Now, what I would like to say to the benches opposite is that their sneering and their condescension is not a good look. And what I'd ask them to... No, I won't give way. I want to develop my point. What I'd ask them to reflect upon is the impression that their behaviour is likely to have on voters in Scotland when, as seems likely for the reasons admirably elaborated by my honourable friend, this current Tory government collapses under the weight of its own division and they're forced to go to the country again in another general election. Because I suggest to them that their role as lobby fodder and the way in which they have sneered and condescended when the SNP have attempted to protest about the lack of time given to devolution and the impact of Brexit and devolution in this chamber, I suggest to them that it will not serve them well. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, the disparity between the treatment of the Republic of Ireland within the European Union and the treatment of Scotland within the United Kingdom illustrates very clearly why I and my colleagues wish to leave the Union of the UK but remain within the European Union. The European Union... No, I won't give way. I won't give way. I don't have long left and I'm not going to give way. The European Union is a union of equals. The United Kingdom is not a union of equals. The United Kingdom is not a union of equals because Scotland is not treated as an equal partner in this union. We want to be in a union where we're an equal partner. And if the honourable members opposite would just for a moment stop trying to shout me down, I want to finish by answering a point made by the Secretary of State for Scotland when he said that the Sewell Convention was a pillar of the devolution settlement. What I would suggest to him is that the insertion of the word normally put a pretty big crack in that pillar. And the thought I would like to leave him with is, if he was building a house to live in, would he build it on top of a pillar which only normally stood up?
Speaker, for calling me to speak in this important debate. Today, Madam Speaker, I have been dealing with the death of a young constituent, Alicia McPhail, and I offer my condolences to the